Welcome to Mythology Matters, where ancient narratives reveal a profound connection between history, mythology, and theology. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to ask any kind of question about myth. Let us dive in our myth today. Before medieval monsters were given name and modern demons were shaped by religion, Celtic folklore was already whispering about something far older, forces that were never truly good or evil, only inevitable. In the Celtic imagination, darkness does not come from hell. It rises from rivers, battlefields, storms, and the edges of reality itself. These beginnings don't just hout stories. They embody fears, fate, and transformation woven into nature. Today, we explore 7 demonic creatures of Celtic mythology and folklore, from wailing death, omens, to shape-shifting chaos spirits. Thank you for watching. Let's step carefully into the myth that never stopped watching back. Number 1. The Fomorians. Primordial chaos and the terror before order. The Fomorians stand among the oldest and most unsettling forces in Celtic mythology. Particularly within our Irish tradition, they are not demons in the later Christian sense, but they often function in folklore as embodiments of chaos, distortion, and the law of violence of nature before it is shaped into order. Their name is sometimes interpreted as meaning something like under the sea or from beneath, hitting at their association with hidden, submerged, and liminal realms. In mythical accounts, the Fomorians are frequently described as being of monstrous or irregular form, giants with missing limbs, creatures with one eye or one arm, or hybrid figures blending human and animal traits. These distortions are not random. They symbolize imbalance and the breaking of natural harmony. The Fomorians are most famously opposed to the Dullahan. The Fomorians are most famously opposed to the Dullahan. The divine race associated with skill, knowledge, and structured civilization. This opposition is not merely a battle between good and evil, but a mythical representation of order struggling against entropy, where the Tuatha represent culture, agriculture, and craftsmanship. The Fomorians embody storms, famine, decay, and destructive natural forces. One of the most powerful interpretations of the Fomorians is that they represent the world before meaning is imposed upon it. It is a reality where nature is unpredictable and often hostile. In this sense, they are less variance and a more cosmic condition of existence, the chaos that must exist for creation to be possible. One of the most powerful interpretations of the Fomorians is that they represent the world before meaning is imposed upon it. A reality where nature is unpredictable and often hostile. In this sense, they are less villains and more cosmic conditions of existence, the chaos that must exist for creation to be possible. Their presence in myth reflects an ancient worldview shaped by survival in a volatile environment. To the early Celts, storms at sea, failed harvests, and sudden deaths were not abstract events. They were expression of living forces beyond human control. The Fomorians give these forces identity, shape, and narrative. Ultimately, they are not simply monsters. They are the mystic memory of a world where orders is fragile, and the chaos is always waiting beneath the surface. Number 2. Balor of the Evil Eye, the weaponized gaze of destruction. Among the Fomorians, no figure embodies concentrated destruction from than Balor of the Evil Eye. A tyrant king whose very gaze functions as an apocalyptic weapon. In Celtic myths, Balor is not merely a monstrous ruler, but a living embodiment of rather perfections. An eye that does not see the world as it is, but annihilates in upon contact. According to legend, Balor possesses a single eye of immense power, often kept closed because it is open and raises catastrophic force. When opened in battle, it can destroy armies instantly, banning life from existence as though reality itself rejects what it observes. Because of this uncontrollable power, attendants are sometimes said to lift his eyelid only when he wishes to unleash devastation. This detail emphasizes a central mythic idea. Balor's power is so absolute, it must be contained even from his own control. Balor's narrative is not most famously tied to his grandson, Ralph, a useful hero associated with skill, right, and mastery. In the mystic confrontation between them, Balor attempts to deploy his deadly eye against Rogue. However, fate reverses his power. Ralph strikes first, often with a sling or spear, and the destructive eye turns back upon Balor himself, killing him. This moment is more than a battle. It is a symbolic transition from old destructive order to new creative intelligence. The evil eye itself carries deep symbolic meaning across cultures, often associated with cursed sight, envy, and harmful influence. In Balor's case, it becomes the ultimate form of corrupted perception, a gaze that does not understand or observe, but destroys. Psychologically, Balor represents the danger of unrestrained power combined with perception divorced from wisdom. He is authority without balance, vision without empathy, and knowledge without restraint. His downfall suggests a recurring mythological truth. System of absolute destruction eventually consumes themselves. Balor is not defeated by greater force alone, but by the inevitability that unchecked power becomes self-destructive when challenged by renewal. Number 3. The Morrígan, the war goddess of fate, death, and prophecy. The Morrígan is one of the most complex and unsettling figures in Celtic mythology. Especially within Irish tradition, she is not a demon in a strict sense, yet her presence often carries the weight of dread, inevitability, and supernatural authority over life and death. More accurately, she is a sovereign force of fate expressed through war, prophecy, and transformation. Rather than appearing in a single fixed form, the Morrígan manifests in shifting guises. She may be seen as strikingly beautiful woman, an egged crone, or most famously as a black crow or raven cycling above battlefields. This ability to shift form reflects her deeper mythical lore. She is not a personified character so much as a living principle of war itself. In mythic narratives, the Morrígan frequently intervenes in battle, not always to favor one side, but to ensure that destiny unfolds as it must. She is known to appear before warriors who are about to die, sometimes prophesying their fate, sometimes testing their courage or resolve. One of our most famous interactions is with the hero Dullahan, where she both challenges and entangles herself with him, revealing her dual nature as both adversary and catalyst of fate. Symbolically, the Morrígan represents the inescapable truth that war is not random. It is structured by fate, consequence, and transformation. She is often associated with rivers of blood, washing armor, and battlefield carrion, not as act of cruelty, but expression of cosmic balance between life and death. Psychologically, the Morrígan embodies the confrontation with mortality that cannot be avoided. She is awareness that every act of violence carries consequence, and every life is already threaded into an unseen design. Unlike simple destructive entities, she does not represent chaos. Instead, she represents order within destruction. A terrifying clarity that death is not accidental, but woven into the fabric of existence itself. Number 4. The Banshee, the wailing messenger of death. Number 4. The Banshee, the wailing messenger of death. The Banshee, Banshee in Irish folklore, is one of the most enduring and haunting figures in Celtic tradition, especially in Ireland and part of Scotland. Unlike overtly violent mythic beings, the Banshee does not kill, curse, or destroy directly. Instead, she exists as an supernatural herald, an airy presence whose primary function is to announce death before it arrives. Her most defining feature is her voice. The Banshee is said to emit a piercing, mournful wail that echoes through the night, often near the home of a family marked for loss. This sound is not merely a cry of sorrow. It is interpreted as a spiritual signal that a life is nearing its end. In some traditions, multiple banshees may appear together, intensifying the omen into a chorus of grief. Visually, the banshee can appear in several forms. She may be seen as a young, pale woman with long flowing hair, a sorrowful figure dressed in white or grey, or as a withered old woman embodying decay and age. This duality of youth and age reflects a connection to the entire cycle of life and death. In some accounts, she is tied to specific Irish families, especially those who ancient lineage, appearing as protective yet sorrowful ancestral spirit. The banshee does not cause death, but is bound due to it, functioning as a messenger between the world of the living and the inevitability of mortality. Her presence transforms the death from an unseen event into foretold certainty, stripping it of surprise and replacing it with dread and deception. Symbolically, she represents the emotional rate of loss before it occurs, the grief that arrives ahead of tragedy. She is the embodiment of mourning itself, given form and voice. Psychologically, the banshee reflects humanity, deep awareness of mortality, and the fear of impending separation. Her cry is not simply an omen, but a reminder that death is not distant or abstract. It is always approaching, always present in the background of life, waiting to be heard. Number 5. The Kelpie, the drawing shape of desire. The Kelpie is one of the most dangerous and psychologically rich beings in Celtic and especially Scottish folklore. Unlike many mythic creatures that announce their presence with obvious terror, the Kelpie is defined by deception. It is a water spirit that hides its evil nature beneath beauty, patience, and illusion. Most commonly, the Kelpie appears as a magnificent horse standing near rivers, rocks, or still bodies of water. Its coat is often described as glossy and inviting, sometimes even glowing in the moonlight. At first glance, it seems tame, even magical, an animal that invites trust rather than fear. This appearance is deliberate. The Kelpie primary method of outing is not force, but seduction. When a traveler approaches, the Kelpie allows itself to be mounted. The moment a person climbs onto its back, its true nature is revealed. Its true nature is revealed. The creature's skin becomes sleek and adhesive, binding rider and beast together. It then plunges into the water, dragging its victim into the depths where escapes became impossible. In many versions of the myth, only the Kelpie's bridle or money remain above the surface as evidence of the deception. The Kelpie is not always limited to equine form. In some traditions, it can assume human appearance, often strikingly attractive strangers who lures victim toward water. Regardless of form, its purpose remains constant: to draw the unwary into drawing through trust and desire. Symbolically, the Kelpie represents the danger of attraction without understanding it, embodies the idea that beauty and safety are not always aligned, and that what appear calm or inviting may conceal destruction beneath its surface. Psychologically, the Kelpies reflect human vulnerability to temptation. It is a mythical expression of impulsive trust, emotional projection, and tendency of ignore warning signs when desire is involved. Ultimately, the Kelpie is not simply a monster of water. It is a warning encoded in myth that surrendering judgment to fascination can lead to irreversible descent into danger. Number 6. The Púca, the trickster of chaos and transformation. The Púca, also spelled Púca, is one of the most unpredictable and unsettling being in Celtic folklore. Particularly in Irish tradition, unlike clearly malevolent creatures, the Púca resists moral classification. It is not strictly evil, nor it is not benevolent. Instead, it embodies instability itself, chaos-giving intelligence, shape, and intention. The Púca is shapeshifter or extraordinary range. It most commonly appears as black holes with glowing eyes, but it can also manifest as a goat, dog, rabbit, or even human-like figure with subtle shifting or uncanny feature. No form is permanent. Its essence is change, and its identity is defined by its refusal to remain fixed. In folklore, encounters with Púca are unpredictable. It may carry travelers safely home, only to later lead them astray. It may destroy crops in one season and breathe them in another. It may speak truth wrapped in riddles or falsehoods that later reveal hidden wisdom. This dual nature make it both feared and respected. The Púca is deeply associated with liminal spaces, filled at twilight, crossroads, abandoned roads, and bounded area between civilization and wilderness. This location reflects its symbolic role as a force that exists between categories, refusing to be contained by order or logic. One of its most famous traits is its tendency to interact with humans in ways that blur the line between harm and prey. Some legends describe it taking riders on wild nighttime journeys across hills and valleys, terrifying but ultimately harmless if respected. Other tales warn that insulting or attempting to control the Púca bring misfortune. Symbolically, the Púca represents the instability of life itself. It is a reminder that order is temporary and the change is constant and unavoidable. Psychologically, it can be interpreted as the embodiment of uncertainty and subconscious disruption, the part of existence that resists planning and expectation. Ultimately, the Púca is not a demon of destruction, but a force of transformation. It does not break order out of malice, but reveals the order was never permanent to begin with. Number 7. The Dullahan, the headless herald of final judgment. The Dullahan, the headless herald of final judgment. The Dullahan is one of the most chilling figures in Irish folklore. Often described as headless rider from embodies of finality of death itself. Unlike creatures that kill through physical force of deception, the Dullahan represents inevitability. Its presence does not cause death directly, it announces it. The Dullahan is typically depicted riding a black horse with unnatural speed and power. Its body often described as a decayed or shadow-like. That most disturbing detail is its head, which it carries under one arm or holds aloft like a grotesque lantern. The face is said to wear a permanent, unsettling grin or fixed expression, sometimes with eyes that can see vast distances, even through darkness and walls. As it rides, the Dullahan travels through night roads, particularly along rural paths or near ancient boundaries. When it stops, death is said to follow shortly after. It is not bound by physical barriers. Locked doors, gates, or walls offer no protection. Its arrival is inevitable. Its arrival is inevitable, unstoppable, and silent except for the sound of its hooves and the creak of its spectral carriage. In some traditions, the Dullahan calls out of the name of the person destined to die. Once named, the fate of the individual is sealed. It is also said to carry a whip made from human spine, which it uses not for battle, but to reinforce its spectral authority. Symbolically, the Dullahan represents the absolute finality of death, stripped of identity, emotion, or negotiation. A headless figure removes individuality and thought, reducing existence to pure fate. Psychologically, it reflects humanity's deepest fear, not just death itself, but death without meaning, warning, or escape. It is embodiment of certainty in its most terrifying form. Ultimately, the Dullahan is not a monster of violence, but of inevitability. It does not bring chaos, it brings conclusion. We have traveled through the shadowed edges of Celtic mythology, where chaos wears the face of giants. Death arrives with a voice, and fate rides without head. These beings were never simply demons, but reflection of a world where nature itself was alive, unpredictable and deeply aware, from the drawing lure of the Kelpie to the final judgment of the Dullahan. Each entity reveals a different face of fear and a different truth about existence. If these ancient stories pulled you, you are only scratching the surface of Celtic myth. Please, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share. You're part of my family now. Thank you for watching. Until next video. Bye-bye.